All right, guys. So another episode of CARTALK. We're gonna go check out some homes right now in the city of Upland. I decided, wait, I gotta put my ring on. You guys gotta see the ring. I got this ring for my birthday. I'm sure you guys seen it in the other video, but I like to wear it because it's big. It's nice. My father-in-law made it. Check it out. It's a bear. Look at that. Cool. Okay, so we're heading to a house in Upland right now. I don't know why I say we, but it's just really only me. But we're going to a house in Upland. We're gonna go do a quick video. We're gonna go check it out and get some more content, right? Content is king. Quality is queen, I like to say. The more you do, the better you'll get, the better the quality is gonna be. It's just how it is. It's how it works. But that's not what we're on here for today. Today, man, I just came back from a Chinese food spot that we're supposed to go to Top Golf, but we didn't make a reservation. So if you're gonna go to Top Golf, make sure you make a reservation. We weren't able to do it. We had a sales challenge. We ended up going to a lunch, but we went to like Panda Inn in Ontario. So my wife and I, we went to a football game this past Sunday. So Broncos versus Chargers. I mean, as you can tell, I am a big Broncos fan. I've been a Broncos fan since I was 7 years old. I loved them, you know. I was like 6 or 7 years old. People always ask me, how did you become a Broncos fan? You live in LA your whole life, or at least LA County. Well, I remember I used to have PlayStation 1, and somehow, some way, I don't know, maybe my mom bought it, I don't know, but we had a football game. It was called Game Day 97. And on Game Day 97, on the cover was Terrell Davis, my favorite running back of all time. Right, so it was only natural. You start the game, and just to get going, they would automatically have the Broncos because they were the best team at the time. They just had won a Super Bowl, and then they usually had, like, I don't know, on the other side, like the Green Bay Packers, right? Whoever played in the Super Bowl the year before, that's who they would have, something like that. And I used to always remember, like, yeah, that's a cool team, that's cool colors. And then we used to play Blitz, and same thing with Blitz, right? The best team on there was the Broncos because that's when they were at their best, and I would just play with them all the time. And so it wasn't so much that they won the Super Bowl in 97, 98, but it was more that they were on the video games I used to play when I was little. And so now people started asking me, like, hey, who's your favorite team? And they all wanted me to say Raiders and all that, right? Because typical Mexican family, they got Raider fans. But I didn't want to be a Raider fan or a 49er fan or a Cowboy fan. I wanted to be a Bronco fan. And I always wanted to be different than everybody else. So I became a Broncos fan. And so growing up, everybody knew me as a Broncos fan. I always wear the hats. Our team colors are based off the Broncos, right? Orange and like that darker navy blue. That's what happened. So anyways, we go to this game. I had a great time with my wife. The Broncos won. It was a good time. So now, okay, well, what's so special about this game? All right, well, they won. Again, spending with my wife. And kind of looking back, I started thinking about something, right? I started thinking about the people who attend the game. And I started thinking about the vendors at the game and the people who work at the stadium. And I'm always thinking about this stuff because I always feel like everywhere around us, there's money being exchanged, right? That, like, anywhere you go, you're driving down the street, you're driving on the freeway, and you see, you know, a truck towing cars. You see a truck towing something. You see somebody driving somebody on Uber. So there's money being exchanged everywhere around us, right? So one thing is, there's no shortage of money. There isn't. It's out there. Now you don't create it, right? You create the opportunities, but it's out there. No one's ever made money by just sitting there and saying, you know, I know affirmations are great and all that, but nobody's really ever made money and sitting there like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. It's saying I'm going to be a millionaire and then actually going to do the stuff that makes you a millionaire. So as I'm walking through, you know, we got all these vendors and stuff, and they're working, right? There's all types of people working at SoFi Stadium. And that's great, right? A lot of them making minimum wage, but it's creating a lot of jobs for the city of Inglewood. It's doing all this stuff, and I'm thinking, man, this is great for the city. Now, on the other side, there's the people who don't work at SoFi Stadium. It's the in Spanish they call them the callejones, right? The people who are on the street selling, right? We all know the famous LA hot dogs. We all know the stuff that they sell on the streets. But I wasn't shocked of how many people were selling on these streets. And I was like, my goodness, there's a ton of people. And they're selling like everything you could think of. They're selling food, hot dogs, alcohol, you know, they're selling micheladas, like shots, $5 shots, $5 shots, shots, $5. And they got this down because they're saying it over and over. They're selling clothes, scarves, hats, chains, like anything you could think of. They're selling outside of this stadium, which is, it's just insane to think about. But going back to, there's not a shortage of money, right? A lot of these people, they're not out there because they want to be out there. They're out there because they're chasing the opportunity. There's, in their mind, I'm going to be out there and yeah, I'm going to have competition, but there's enough people coming into this stadium. It could be 60,000, 70,000. I don't know how many people are at the actual stadium at the time, but let's say the 70,000 people. There's going to be 70,000 people, and there's going to be a few thousand people who are going to walk by me. And if I'm there, most likely there's going to be someone that needs, or not so much needs, but wants what I have, right? So why does this matter? I have the utmost respect for these people who are working. So we're leaving the game, and I was like, man, I want a soda, because we ate a bunch of like just salty stuff at you know, in the stadium, and candy and stuff like that. I love candy. So we're you know, eating our stuff. I was like, man, I need either carbonated water or soda, or water and a soda. So I'm walking, and I really wanted a Diet Coke. That's really what I wanted. I'm a Diet Coke head. That sounded really bad. Diet Coke head. I'm not a Coke head. I'm a Diet Coke. I really like it, right? Let's just go with that. So I wanted a Diet Coke, but I see this family, right? And this is opportunity, right? We're talking about opportunity, seizing that. They're sitting there, and the wife's grilling hot dogs, and the husband is selling drinks. You know, he's selling alcohol, he's selling soda, he's selling water. So I see him. They have a stroller, a baby in a stroller. Mind you, there's thousands of people exiting that one section of the stadium, thousands. And he's right there holding onto the stroller, holding onto his cooler, and his wife is flipping hot dogs, or, you know, rolling them around, whatever you want to call it, because I guess you roll them, you don't really flip them, right? And I tell my wife, well, let me see what this guy has, right? I like to go to the people who, you know, they got a family. And I forgot to mention, the wife is pregnant. So you can, I mean, I didn't ask her, but you can visibly tell that she's pregnant, and they had a small little baby in a stroller. So I was quite impressed. And the whole time I couldn't stop thinking, like, man, how many people are just sitting down right now, twiddling their thumbs, feeling sorry for themselves? And I don't mean to be mean. You know, I know there's all this stuff about depression, all of that stuff, and I don't understand it. I personally, I don't get it. I felt down before and all that, and this is not what I'm trying to talk about. But there's people who are feeling sorry for themselves in general, and they're waiting. There's no business out there. There's no this out there. These people they looked for the opportunity, and maybe their opportunity is not that great, but hey, guess what? They're going to be able to feed their family tonight, right? They're going to be able to do that because they're putting themselves out there, making themselves uncomfortable. Nobody wants to be selling hot dogs at a stadium after a game on a Sunday night. Nobody. Not one person is like, yeah, I love selling hot dogs and selling drinks outside of SoFi Stadium. Nobody says that. They have to do it. So going back to them, they didn't have the Diet Coke. I ended up getting a regular Coke, which is not at the end of the world, but I wanted to basically say, hey, I see you're working hard. I wanted to bless them. I let them keep the change, right? It was cool. Again, this is not what this car talk is about. Oh my gosh, this road is really bad. So I admire them because they're out there making it happen. And there's too many of us that are privileged. This guy didn't even speak a lick of English. I told him, I was like, hey bro, and I speak Spanish, but you know, I want to talk to people in English when they're in America, so I want to, you know, to make them feel comfortable. I realized he didn't understand a word I said, and I was like, hey bro, do you guys have Diet Coke? And he just looked at me like, and he just looked at his wife, and his wife spoke English a little bit better than he did, or just spoke some English, and she was like, no, Coke only. And I was like, okay, dame una agua y una coca, right? And I went back to speaking Spanish, and he was grateful. But they're out there with their kids. Like, can you imagine all the help that we get, right? We're in the beautiful industry of real estate, and we get a ton of help. And yeah, there's certain circumstances that we cannot control. But for the most part, most of us are pretty blessed. If we're able to get our license, if we're able to afford that, we should be able to get up and start working. And most of us are scared to do that. Most of us are afraid to put in the work. And I don't understand why. There's an opportunity in front of us, right? And all we have to do is go and work for it. All we got to do is go and take it. And most of us are not doing that. What's stopping us? It's ourselves. It's that little voice in our head saying, nobody's buying a home right now. Nobody's selling a home right now. That's what the little voice is saying in our head. And the voice is wrong. The truth is, people are buying and selling homes all around us. They're just not doing it with you because you're not putting the right effort or getting around the right people, right? We talked about on other CARTALKs teams and all that. How bad does that family outside of SoFi Stadium want to feed their family? They're willing to go through the inconvenience of having to be there on a Sunday night. Outside of SoFi Stadium, it's getting cold, their kids are right there probably crying, and guess what? They're just gonna do it. And we're so spoiled that we can't go door knock on a couple of houses, post some social media posts, cold call people, do whatever it freaking takes, man. And that's upsetting. Because everyone has the same, you know, we hear it all the time. Everyone has the same 24 hours. Everyone has the same opportunity. It just depends if you're going to get up and actually do the work. So I want you to think about a couple of things right now. One, what's stopping you from taking action? There's something right now that's stopping you from taking action. Take that away. Is it the fear? Is it excuses? Right? Is it, I don't know, your baby daddy? Whatever the excuse is, it's an excuse. I have a full-time job. That's an excuse. You got 3 hours before and you probably got 3 hours after to do some work. I guarantee you. So with all that being said, you gotta take it by the horns. You gotta take this opportunity that you have in front of you to go put in some work. If they could do it, if they could be there on a Sunday night and you're sitting at home telling your spouse or telling somebody else that's just no business out there, it's a lie. So quit believing the lie, get out there and get after it. CARTALK Cedeño out.